members on the dais, distinguished delegates all across the country, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I want to thank the elets, Technomedia, and Government of Goa, and other co-hosts for providing me this opportunity this afternoon to share my experience and some of my views in this Knowledge Exchange Summit 2015. We in India have a glorious history about learning. We have instances where people across the world, from China, they would come to Nalanda, and other seats of learning to Kashi to have education on astrology, on astronomy, and read our scriptures. And there was a time when there used to be a lot of emphasis on inculcation of moral values, ethical values into a human being, besides acquiring knowledge. And as we know, only the very few people who used to be the kings or used to be the elites in the society had an access to education. And even before independence, very few families could afford to send their students, their children, to higher education in colleges and universities, and only the affluent ones had this privilege and would send their children for higher education either in the country or abroad. Earlier days, as I said, I will just spend about 10 to 12 minutes, as I was told, and I'll complete my dialogue with you. People would, as I said, astrology, astronomy, and Shastra Vidya, weaponry. That used to be a skill imparting kind of an education, where besides having the knowledge about the various kind of weaponry, the skill also used to be a part of the curricula, and to make those who had come to acquire that knowledge, make them efficient in learning as well as in their skills. And we have a parampara of ashrams, learnings, gurukuls, and Guru Shishya parampara, as we say, where the emphasis was on self-discipline, eating simple and healthy food, maintaining a very dedicated and disciplined routine that would keep the student healthy. As we know, for a healthy mind, we need a healthy body, and only a healthy mind can generate positive thinking. So that was the basics I wanted to share with you. And on this system, we have come a long way in our country. And today, as we see, the literacy rate, which used to be, if I talk about my state in Himachal Pradesh, when we were free in 1947 and we became a state in 1948, only 77% people were literate. And today, 88% of the population of the state is literate. There were very few schools. We have a difficult and remote geographical terrain in the state. Now we have a school almost in every village. We have more than 17,000 schools in the state of the size of 65 lakh population. And 16,000 villages we have. So on an average, we have one school for one village. And this year, the present government has allocated 4,400 crores as part of the budget for education, which forms about 25% of the total budget of the state. That is the kind of priority the state government has accorded for expansion of education, accessibility, and to maintain quality. With this much to say, we have about 7 universities and about 90 colleges, particularly in far-flung and very remote areas of the state. These colleges are not concentrated on the cities and metros, metropolitan areas, urban areas, I must say, but they are all across the rural areas and in far-flung areas. The vision is that everybody should have an access to education at his doorstep, at his place where he resides. Education, as we know, as they say in Sanskrit, that it is such a wealth which cannot be stolen, and it grows more and more as we spend it. And we, being a young nation, our majority population is young, and our greatest priority should have been the education, because education and to develop our human resource, because education is linked to poverty. And developing human resource is surely, as I believe, an agenda and a tool with us which will finally eliminate the poverty, and it will turn us into a better human being and generate a better society to live. The topic today for this seminar is innovative practices. I don't have much to say about it because quite a large amount of work has been done in reforming the education system all across the country. We had been experimenting with the system of education, and from time to time there has been changes. But as of now, as we see, now there is emphasis on vocational education, on IT practices, to be introduced into the education as a tool of better learning. Education is, as I said, a teacher-taught relationship. We have two hemispheres. One side is the teacher, other side is the student. Or what I say is Adhyayan and Adhyapan. So the responsibility is cast on both. The more responsibility is on the teacher, because the student has come to acquire knowledge, he has come to learn, he has come to start his life outside his home and family, and with an intention to make himself an efficient, capable, a better human being, worthy to serve in a system where he can liberate the ill practices in the society and become useful for the society and for the nation. So what we are doing for a teacher, what should be done? Most of us, as we know, the beaten path is that he should be trained, he should be a lot of emphasis should be on training, reorientation, and also he should also be highly motivated, so that he could motivate his students, the children who come before him. So these are certain areas where I find most of the things are failing for various reasons. Though we have policies in place, we have a lot of resources at our command, but what I say, what is missing is the implementation is missing, because the training is the last priority area I have seen. Last priority area. There is insufficient funding. Most of the money is going to the salaries of teachers, and very little is left for training programs, and there is absolutely, I would say, no interest shown by the teachers for participation of these trainings. Second thing which I feel is that the syllabus, the course contents are designed by various expert bodies, educational bodies, where a lot of research takes place, and very good, innovative material for teaching is available. But what is missing is that once those books are, those developed by these agencies, then there is no effort to train teachers on that curricula. And as we say, today's classroom environment should be a joyful learning environment. Olden days we would see a teacher with a stick in his hand, and that was the imagination and psyche of a student as well as of the teacher. But today there is a thinking that there shouldn't be any examination. We leave it only to comprehensive and continued perpetual evaluation, and students are upgraded to next class. And with this view, the responsibility on the teacher is much more. Teacher has to be a psychologist, he has to be a psychiatrist, he has to be a guide, he has to be a leader, he has to be a skill master. First thing I find is that he has to identify the skill of a child. That is the greatest responsibility on him. It's not only making him understand certain subject. He has to identify what the child is good for, and then he has to groom him up in that mold so that he becomes efficient in that area. Because there is no dearth of learning talent in a child. Every child has something or the other. He has some power or the other. But those hidden powers are to be identified and developed. But unfortunately, this part I find is missing most of the schools. Second thing which I find is that the parameter to judge the student or the child cannot be the same. The examination system has to improve and it has to change. It has to change for good. For instance, I was reading at one place, if we keep 4 or 5 animals in a row, like an elephant or a tortoise and a fish and a monkey, and give them one target to climb a tree, the monkey would succeed, he may succeed, but a fish may not. Does that mean that a fish is not capable? Would she be a failure in her life? Or would she be thinking that she is worth for nothing? No. Our parameters have to change. In today's context, where we have so many opportunities and options to serve and render our services, the criteria has to change. Once a child starts thinking that he is worth nothing, he will keep on degrading himself. And he will never be a bright child. His capacity to grasp will go down, his retention power and his progress of mind may not be as good as it should be. So therefore, as I say, we have to provide a very congenial environment. Like if we have a good climate and good soil, a good plant grows. Similarly, we have a good classroom learning atmosphere, which is the responsibility of the teacher and of the Department of Education and other people associated with the education, so that the child may fructify and grow like a healthy tree. So far as I said earlier, using an examination system as a tool to assess and evaluate a child. But there is a lot of debate whether we should have an exam or we should do away with the exam altogether. But some people think that examination could be a diagnostic and remedial rather than, in the present context, it is to make a fail or pass of a student. So, as I said, it's a long story, it's a long reformatory process of the education system we have. Or the other thing which I was thinking could be a sort of implement the best practices, which is at present missing in most of the states and in most of the education departments, because as I say, the overall growth and personality of a student is very important and of utmost importance for the society and for the child himself as a human. So the best practices, which starts right from the prayer in the morning to the classroom working, rescheduling, playground, libraries, and so on and so forth. It should be designed in such a way that the entire thing is integrated in toto. As I said, the religious, moral values, and the learning and the joyful atmosphere where the child has a free mind, where he goes with a free mind to learn and come out with a lot of innovative ideas and generate optimum output out of himself. So I got a slip finally. And about the IT, I would just like to share that in our state of Himachal Pradesh, we have done a pioneering job in implementation of IT in governance and in several other areas. And several awards at national levels have been awarded to the state for the best e-governance as a best e-governed state. For instance, we have the revenue records which are available now on the kiosks, on the Suvidha centers which are in every village or in a cluster of villages. Tourism booking is done on a professional electronic media. Even the bus bookings are also done in the Transport Corporation on IT. Service record of the employees are available on the electronic media, and most of the information is available on the departmental websites. And such is the transparency that one does not need to go to any department. Rather, most of the information he can have just by loading to the website of the state government various departments. Though I had nothing more to share, but I wish the organizers a great success and hope that we'll have opportunities to meet again in similar workshops elsewhere in the country and keep on exchanging the ideas for the betterment of the education and for innovation.